Hello there, this is Doris Spenter of Library Arts. Are you a Mo Willems picture book fan like I am? Well, if you are, you're going to be excited about his latest book, The Pigeon Will Ride the Roller Coaster. And today I'm going to show you a craft inspired by the book, yet to be published. That'll be next month in September. And you're going to see how you can make a fun little paper roller coaster, make your own little pigeon in his own little car, about to take a wild ride on this coaster. So come along with me, I'll go over the materials, and we'll get started right away. Let's get started by going over your materials. You're going to need a base for your cardboard. So this is just shirt cardboard measuring about 8 by 11. And I have a sheet of cardstock in black, measured to the same size as the cardboard. Now you can have a longer sheet if you have some at home. This is the size I had. I cut my cardboard to fit the size of the paper. I want a dark ground because I want the roller coaster to stand out against dark base. You're gonna have some other papers. You're gonna have some brightly colored papers. I have green or maybe yellow in your pack. Whatever really bright colors. This is bright neon paper you can get at dollar store or Staples. I've put about 6 sheets in each kit so that you can have railroad tracks. You could even cut these in half and make them narrower if you want, but I wanted them wide enough to hold my car. So that leads me to this cardboard piece here. That's going to be your little car for your pigeon. We're going to cover that car with some brightly colored paper. Could be orange or red. You're going to have glue and a stick. You're going to have a little strip of star stickers so you can decorate your car. You're going to have some clay colors, blue and white for the pigeon, and of course we need a little orange for his beak. You're going to have a couple cardboard tubes that I'm upcycling to help lift your roller coaster, and a little bit of double-sided foam tape to help the start and complete the finish of sticking the rails to your roller coaster base. Now, there are a couple additional things you're going to need. You're going to need a pair of scissors. You're going to need a little bit of tape. And you should have a dark marker. It doesn't have to be black, but just something where you can draw on the tracks. I just imagine you could have those 3 things on your own. Okay, in the next video, we're going to talk about preparing our base and our track for our pigeon. See you in a minute. Okay, for the first step, we're just going to attach our black paper to our cardboard base. So get out your glue. You won't need a lot. I would literally just put a couple dots here and there around the cardboard, maybe in the corners, maybe in the middle of each side, and there. That's all. You won't want a lot because your paper might buckle if you have too much glue. Set that black paper on top. Line it up with the edges, smooth it out, and that is basically your cardboard base. Okay, on top of this, we're going to move on to preparing our chair. We're going to prepare the chair for the pigeon, and then we will come back to it after the glue is dried a little bit. So I have this, again, simple template I made out of shirt cardboard. Now one side is brown. I think that's kind of blah looking, so I thought what we could do is use that orange paper or red or green, whatever color I gave you. Any kind of bright color will work. And we're going to cover the back side of the chair. Again, I'm just putting dots. I don't really like to put tons of glue on things. I think it tends to make things buckle and bubble, and I really don't want that. So I'm just going to smear out the little bits of glue I put on here. I'm going to press that yellow paper on there, and I'm just going to rub it in with my hands. And I'm going to let this glue sit here for a minute. I'm not going to try to bend the chair shape yet because, get that glue out of the way, I'd like to actually add some color to the front of my chair. So, you know, I didn't say this before, but I think it's pretty simple. Just grab any kind of fun, bright, colored marker. I think I'm gonna grab, this orange. Just a highlighter, but you could use anything. just to add a little color to the white, or you could leave it white. You could use crayons, whatever you want. So it's not really making it a very bright orange, it's just making it kind of a peachy color. If I wanted it really bold, I could have used another color. Maybe I'll get some red in here, and I'll do some red for the side arms. But maybe I'll just keep the seat orange, just again to give it a little fun so that my roller coaster chair feels kind of festive. Now again, you could just ignore coloring this in and go straight for the stickers, which is what I'm going to do next anyway. So I think I'm going to leave the seat, I decided I'm going to leave the seat white, just to save a little time and energy. I'm going to finish coloring in my two arms, and I already have the orange on the back. And notice how I just went on the orange paper. Don't worry about that, because we're going to be cutting away that excess orange paper in a minute. Now, here we go. Orange paper on the back, colored on the front. I'm going to take my star stickers and I'm just going to peel and stick them on the front of the chair, not the back, just to give it a little fun. You could use all the stickers, you could use some of the stickers. Everybody's going to get a strip of little star stickers. Just make it feel like a fun ride at like an amusement park. I'm putting these little stickers on. And I think there's plenty here to, if you can get them off, there's plenty here to just give your chair a little fun, festive color. And I have one more over here. And there's my strip, okay? Now I'm going to cut off the extra paper, like so, cutting just around the front of the shape so that the back of the chair is all set, and that glue's had a minute or so to set up. Just cutting the excess paper off. Not really trying to do anything fancy here in terms of shaping. The chair is already shaped for you, so you don't need to worry about that part. There. Get these scraps out of here so I can move on to the last step of the chair, which is to fold inwards the chair. So now this is what it's going to look like. It's going to have a little color on the inside, a little color on the back side. So this is where you're going to need a little bit of tape, and this is not the only place you're going to need that tape, so keep it handy. I'm just going to tape the folds so that my chair stays upright. Tape it here. This one didn't tape as well, so I'm going to put another piece of tape just to make sure it's holding where I want it to hold, right there. That's better. And a couple little pieces right here on the front. And there is your chair. So I want you to take a few minutes coloring, decorating, having fun building your chair, and then put it aside with your base, that black base we covered, and we'll move on to the coaster itself before we finally come to building our Pigeon. See you soon. Okay, now we're ready to move on to the coaster, but the first thing we're going to do is build a couple little supports for a roller coaster. What I love about these tubes is that they're a great support for the paper, and they give you that sort of up and down hill feeling in the roller coaster itself. So keep your tape nearby, have a pair of scissors, have your two tubes. Now, there are two heights. There's a short and a tall. The tall one is the one we're going to use first. So what I want you to do at each end of the tube is simply make some short cuts, maybe about a ½ inch in length, going around the edge of the tube. You don't need a million of these. 5 or 6 cuts here, and about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, thinking like you're making a flower and these are the petals. I want you to pull them out and flatten them out on either end. So it looks sort of like a flower. Now let's do the same thing here. Pull them down and out and flat. And now I want you to do the same thing to the other tube, and when you get back and both tubes have been cut in the same manner, we'll talk about where you're going to use them on your base. Okay? Have fun. See you in a minute. Okay, we're back. Our tracks have railroad lines on them, ready to be connected. So let's think about this. So this is the top of our roller coaster. So we want to think about, is it going to turn? Is it going to go around this way? So the first thing I would do is I would just take some tape, and this is again just regular tape, nothing fancy. We're not using the double-sided foam tape, and pretty much cover that flower form that we have here. And just attach one end of a railroad track to the top. Like so. Okay. Then you can think about what's going to happen. Is it going to turn? So if it's going to turn, maybe what I need to do is connect my track. So here again is a chance to just use some simple tape, nothing fancy. Tape the two strips together and think about how it's going to turn. Now here, I noticed it's a little wide, so I'm going to just trim it to fit, and then I'm going to put an extra piece of tape to make sure that does stay together. Okay, so maybe I want to do this. You may have to tape it on the back too, just to hold the strips from folding up. Okay, so again, I'm just holding it, showing like the kind of loop I could make. So maybe I'll do this, and I'll have my other tube come over here, okay? So I'm gonna take a piece of, not the whole piece, a piece of that double-sided foam tape for this one, save another half piece for the car later on, because we're gonna need to attach the car. And just to make it a little faster, I was saying this is another alternative to the tape, is just cut these into tiny strips, stick them on the flower petals. So I'm just cutting each one into a little strip, sticking it. You don't even have to do all of them. I'm going to do two more based on the size of the foam tape I have here. 1 and 2. Now, working with your fingernail, just peel off the paper. Peel off the paper. Make sure each one is secure first, so you don't take off the tape with it. Peel just the paper off. 2, 3, and oops, 4. Okay, now what are we going to do? We're going to figure out where this is going to go. I think it's going to go here, sort of a little bit diagonal to the first one I put down. There we go. And now this is where I can say, okay, mine's going to have a really fun loop. It's going to curve around. It's going to go this way. I'm going to tape it again onto those flower forms, really keeping that loop kind of exciting because it is a roller coaster ride. Now kids can do loop-de-loops. You can do, you know, it flips over. It's just a matter of, again, attaching and turning the paper. So once that's on, I'm ready to add another strip, and I'm going to put it right here so it looks like it's a continuation of the railroad. So I'm just connecting. I may not even use all 6. I'm just going to work until I think I have enough. Putting tape on the back again. Now I can curve it around this way. And that's kind of cool. Maybe I want to do a loop-de-loop. Maybe I want to try to do this. It's really up to your child. And a lot of kids I've worked with, they really enjoy is adding additional cardboard to make their base longer. And when they do that, they find they can make more extravagant loops on their tracks. So don't be afraid to try that. That can be a lot of fun. So play with your paper, play with the loops, tape them down into place so they're not moving. Keep them where you want them. And then once you get your railroad track figured out, like maybe I'll come over here and I'll go that way, make a little tunnel. Wouldn't that be fun? And just figure out what you want to do, and then I'll see you back here in a few minutes. Okay, the track is finished. We start here. It's going to come down, go under the little loop here, around, upside down, loop to loop, comes down, and then I'm going to exit off my base. So that looks like a pretty exciting ride for the Pigeon. So we're going to put that aside for the moment. I'm going to put my little car here, and this indeed will be our little roller coaster car. Now we're ready to make our Pigeon. So the first thing we need to do is make sure we know what the Pigeon looks like. So we're going to make our Pigeon first, and if you look at Mo Williams' pictures, the Pigeon is basically a light blue character. So I'm going to take a little white clay and just a little bit of blue. Now the reason being is that, and save that plastic by the way that I just put aside, is that you want a pale blue. You don't want the Pigeon to be too dark because he really is a light blue. So I like to mix and remind children that Model Magic is great because you can mix it by just folding and stretching, almost like you're making slime or painting and mixing colors together. But I think I need a little bit more for the Pigeon than that. So maybe that'll be his head. I'm going to take the rest of the white with, again, just a little bit of the blue, and I'm going to use this for his body and his wings. So I'm going to do this. So one thing I have found working with clay for so many years is that just like a sculptor uses an armature or support to hold up their project, sometimes it can be useful to just have a little piece of support underneath the clay. So I'm actually going to grab something I didn't mention earlier, but I'm sure you could find a little piece of foil. And you can just take any aluminum foil you have in the house. Just going to crumble it into a small ball because it's going to be the Pigeon sitting here, so we don't want it to be too big. I'm going to take some of it off, some of the clay off my big piece, and I'm going to wrap that foil right in. Now, if you don't have any foil, you could use a crumbled up piece of paper. Doesn't have to be fancy. So this will be the Pigeon's body. And then what I would do is I'd roll it around to make sure the foil is all covered, and then check to make sure the Pigeon fits in your chair. Should be enough room for him right here, okay? And there is. So I'm gonna put that down for a minute. Now he's got a long neck. You're gonna definitely need a little bit for his neck and a little bit for his head. So let's make a little neck here, and we're gonna pinch that into the clay. So he's got this nice little body. We'll add a couple little wings, and his wings are gonna be excited. He's excited that he's going on this ride. So I'm gonna put his wings up like that. We're gonna make a little bit of a head up here. And you know, we're gonna need a little extra white clay. So here's his basic body. He's got a little round circle for a head, a thin, long neck, 2 wings, and now we're gonna move on to making a little beak. And we're gonna make that an orange color for his beak, because that's the color it is. And again, here's a great way to mix clay colors. Yellow with some red is going to make a really fun orange. I think you're going to want to save a little bit of that white clay, by the way. I'm going to get some more here and use it for his eyes and his little collar around his neck. So once you get an orange, isn't that fast how that happened? Take a tiny bit. I'm going to roll it into a tiny ball, flatten it, take my scissors and just make a little slit. It's like a little V shape. And that's going to be his mouth, his beak, coming up here. And I can flatten it out. And then I want you to get this far. When you come back, I'll show you how to do the eyes and the collar. And then we're going to put him right in his chair. Okay? I'll see you back here in a minute. Have fun making your pigeon. Okay, welcome back. Now it's time to complete our pigeon. Our pigeon has some large white eyes. So keep your marker nearby, that black marker or any kind of dark marker. You need the tiniest pieces of clay to make those big white eyes. But let's do that. Whoop, like tiny little pancakes here. One on this side of his head. One on the other side of his head. Like that. Got two little white eyes. But the kicker, of course, with the pigeon is to add the black pupils. And I wasn't just going to say, do that with a little bit of black marker. And all I'm doing is dotting some black marker to add a pupil here. There's one pupil. I'm going to make them close to the edge of the eye. So here he is, looking ahead with his mouth open and his beak, his wings up. And now we're going to add that little white collar he wears around his neck. I'm not quite sure. I think that just sort of denotes a kind of sense of clothing on him besides feathers. So I'm just going to make this little white collar near the top of his body, goes around his neck. And again, that's just using a little leftover white clay I had here. So make sure you hold a little bit of white clay aside for those final details. So isn't that adorable? Here he is with his wings outstretched, really getting ready for this ride. I'm going to make him leaning forward in his chair, I think. And what I'm going to do is take that little bit of double-sided foam tape, one bit left, I'm going to cut it in half. One half I'm going to use for my pigeon sitting inside of the car. And if you want, you can make some other little friends with leftover clay you might have. He's going to be sitting, oops, let's get this stuck inside the seat first, right there. And he's going to be leaning, looking down because he's going to be on top of that roller coaster. The other part, I'm going to bring my roller coaster right back up here. He's going to be at the start of the roller coaster, getting ready for that ride. So I'm going to take that last little bit. Now your child may want to play, tell stories about the pigeon, rolling down the roller coaster. Mine is just for display purposes, so I'm putting my tape here and putting my pigeon right here on the end so you can see him riding down the roller coaster. And this to me is just so much fun. So that's it for this project today. This is Doris Benter of Library Arts. I hope you had a lot of fun making this project today. I would have read the story to you, but I'm actually making this craft before the story is published, which will be next month in September. But when it is published, I hope you take a chance to get it from the library and read it, and then make this craft afterwards. So if I don't see you soon, in the meantime, stay creative, take care, and I hope to see you soon with your own little pigeon. Bye-bye.